So people are always like, so why is history such a big deal to you, man? It's old news. And I'm like, huh, not only is it a great subject, but it's a great subject. And has a lot to do with my ancestry. Explain to y'all in a little bit. Yes. So like I was saying before, I didn't always really care for history. I kind of wanted to be, like a rock star or, something practical and not a amateurish historian. I don't know why I like it. Maybe it's because of the violent, bloody battles that went on in medieval times, or just interesting stuff. But no, it really sparked when I kind of caved in, spent a little cash, and did a ancestry test. Um, yeah, it sounds pretty silly, and I guess now it's kind of like popular. Maybe I don't know. Um, I don't know. You see them people like, oh, I'm related to King George III. I don't know if you'll ever find that in that. I'm just gonna be straight up honest with you, but I mean, unless you have like hired, detective people look into this, I doubt you'll go that far back in your ancestry. But it does show you a good deal of where your ancestors were kind of at all over the world and stuff. So like I said, I started with the only one I knew was Ancestry.com. And because I'm such a nerd, I learned there was other programs that you could dive a little deeper. One of them being this website that also does DNA test kits called My Heritage. You could probably look it up, on YouTube or whatever. Same deal. You spit in a thing, you wait 2-3 weeks, and it shows you results. I already did that. I just didn't want to dish out another $40-$50, whatever it is. But turns out you could upload your raw data. That's all this stuff, all the sequencing and code. It's a big word. All that stuff, and upload it to this site, and they pretty much do a fine tooth and comb. Is that the expression? Fine tooth and comb. So they kind of sit through this stuff and give you, I guess, a better, not a better, but like a different outcome. You know, your DNA doesn't change, but what it does, it just kind of, I guess, dives deeper into it. So yeah, um, that's what I did, and it's really not that hard to do. But yeah, so I'm gonna stop talking about that because that's the science behind it. Basically, you spit in a cup, you send it to a bunch of scientists, and they match your DNA, your blood, um, to a bunch of people all throughout the world that are related genetically closer to you. So you could probably look at it and it could be something completely opposite of what you thought you were your whole life. Or it could be nothing special and you're 100% whatever it is you were born, you know. Maybe you might get that. I don't know. I don't know if you guys did tests or not, but I did. And my tests were, pretty much told me what I already knew. Both sides of my folks are, Italians. One being from Central, South, and the other being from way south, Sicily. And I was like, ooh, well, what the hell? Why not? I've always gotten stares of people saying, what's your nationality? I always kind of thought that I looked, typical Italian, but some people say I do, some people say I don't. Most of the time, especially at work, I've gotten everything but that. Arab, Greek, South American, Spanish, all that stuff. Yeah, not that special. I wish I could tell you guys I'm related to some king or emperor. I really do, but no, unfortunately. Maybe I am. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, it doesn't go that far back. Anyway, let me get to the point here. I'm gonna show you my makeup. I took a screenshot on my phone and I posted it on the computer, and I'm about to show you guys. So yeah, stay tuned. It's gonna blow your mind, or maybe not. So, this is me. This is what my results turned up. It's an obvious screenshot, and I uploaded to my drive. So yeah, no surprise there. Look at that, 90.2% European. A duh. This is where it gets kind of weird. Okay, so I told you both, my folks, my parents are Italian, but clearly it says Got a big little spike in Greek there. I don't have any Greek relatives, so I'm just as confused as you are. Let's go down to this one. What the hell is West Asia? Well, I'll tell you what the hell West Asia is. Not Chinese, in case you were thinking that. 6.6%, not that much, but still there. So like countries like let's see, Armenia, Azerbaijan, I guess, Iran, kind of in the Middle East, Turkey, those places. That is what that is. Kind of the Middle East. Not quite, but kind of. Boom. Africa. Alright, so no kind of surprise there. If you're any kind of Southern European, this is definitely probably gonna, sneak up on you. But don't freak out. Let me explain here. North Africa. So think of like North Africa, Egypt, Algeria, Morocco, Mauritania, Libya, places like that. So, for those who don't know, North Africa looks a lot like the Middle East, and that's because they share the same kind of traits. So, yeah, there's that. And my guess is the influences are probably from, I guess, the soldiers that were used in a bunch of, Islamic armies, and they just kind of, went all over through, South Europe and the Moors and all that, and, set up camp there. And probably share a bit of lineage with, the Berbers. Who knows? All right, this one too, the Middle East. But I have a feeling these two are kind of in the same, world, because they're kind of, saying they're like cousins, So when I think of North Africa, I think of the Middle East too. They're literally like a stone throws away, and they kind of share the same quality. So yeah, I'm not really gonna, dive that much into it. That's kind of the extent of my knowledge. Why anyone who's as European as me would have any bit of this is because of that. Like, I doubt it was, a direct ancestor. I think it was just like a, someone probably was, part of this, world that traveled to Europe, had a family, and so on and so forth. But yeah, that's that. And, you had these two, which, if West Asia, if you're talking about Turkey, there's a whole lot of Greeks in Turkey. Well, there was anyway, so there's that. Like I said, I could be part of the greater, Georgia world, Georgia the country, not the, state, in case you guys didn't know. Or, Armenian. There's a whole lot of, options. It doesn't really, unfortunately, doesn't really deep dive into, certain aspects, which would be cool, but I guess they haven't figured out that technology. Now, this they kind of did. Like on Ancestry, if you're looking at this, there would be like a little button right over here, and it kind of pulls down, and it shows you which, cities you came from in Italy or Greece or whatever it is, you got the most out of, and how long your ancestors would be there. For me, I got mostly, spots that actual my family came from, which I thought was kind of interesting. So there is some truth to these things. They're not complete bullshit no matter what you hear. It's science, and you can't really argue with science that much. So I'm going to deep dive a little bit more. I'm going to show you a friggin' map on why I think all this stuff makes sense, and, maybe encourage you guys to get your own Ancestry DNA test if you care to. Totally optional. Alright, so I'm going to go do that right now. Alright, boom. This is a map. But you guys already knew that. Right, so my lineage is boom there, and right there. That's all me right there, that little C. C means yes. But yeah, but that wasn't all me though. There was a big spike, as I told you, in this little spot right here, Greece. And Greece is kind of all this. It used to be all this. And it used to be all this too. So, yeah. So there's the connection there. So I'm going to say from right there, Naples, to maybe Syracuse, this side right here. Not this side, this side. It was all Greek. That's right. There was a load of Greeks in Italy. In fact, it was so many Greeks, it was called Magna Graecia, which means Greater Greece. I know. Why are there a bunch of these people over here? I mean, the distance really isn't that far, but it just got, there was a lot of invasions and just, it was unpleasant in Greece at the time. So they're like, oh, let's go to this Mediterranean island right here. Yeah. Party there for a little bit with the Italians and mate with them and have babies, and that's that. So all these places here, let me, so if you could imagine Naples all the way down to Syracuse and the, east part of that island of Sicily, it was all a bunch of Greek people. Wars happened, Rome happened, and it got taken over. But they didn't, wipe out the entire population. They just assimilated them with other Italians. Now, what's interesting in this part, it's where my mom's from, Palermo, used to be called Ziz. And Ziz was Phoenician for flour. Now, who the hell are the Phoenicians? And why are you talking about them? I'll tell you who they are. So the Phoenicians, you ready for this? Hang on, I'm going to blow this up a little bit. Boom. Phoenicians were right there, Lebanon. Lebanese people. Oh my God, I know. So before this was called Lebanon, it was part of Phoenicia. Phoenicians were like Eastern Mediterranean proto-Arab people. They weren't quite Arab yet, but, whatever. You get what I'm trying to say. But they were great sea traders. Greater than the Greeks, actually. So they all just kind of, boom, settled there. All over here. Probably skipped that place. And settled right there. So they kind of went, look at that. So they traveled all the way there. To boom, there. Oh, and they also settled in this place right here. Tunisia. Boom. Yeah. Then Tunisia became Carthage, and that's another video. But, yeah, so Palermo had a lot of activity going on. It was very different from, the rest of the Mediterranean. So you had, Carthaginians from here, Phoenicians from that way, and they all just kind of settled there. A lot of wars happened, and it got changed to, predominantly Italian. Fast forward a little bit, 7th century, maybe a little more, you had Arabs from, boop, there you go, Syria, and Tunisia. And those guys pretty much went this way and invaded. It was a slow invasion, but they did it. They took over all of Sicily. Sicily became a emirate. So, it was ruled by, a caliph, and it was Muslim. But it was kind of like how Spain was with the Moors. They all kind of got along. So you had, shared religions and stuff. I'm sorry for the flickering in the background. I really don't know how to control that. But, yeah, so just kind of deal with that a little bit. Bear with me here. So, yeah, that's, I guess, the history of that part. And that would probably explain the little bit of Middle East, North African, but even though they set up shop a while there, I mean, not too long, but, there was a great deal of mixtures going on in Sicily. So, let's think about this. You had Greek, you had Latin, and you had Arab. You had all those people living amongst each other, having babies, and sharing religions. You had the Latin Catholics, Greek Orthodox, and Islamic Muslims, all in one spot in harmony. Okay, maybe, everything wasn't all peaches and cream, but, we weren't actually there, so we could just rely on the history books. And that's what I think happened. That's what maybe kind of reflected my, minuscule percentage of Middle Eastern North African, Did I have a relative from, this side of town, or maybe over here? I don't know, maybe. I don't know. Like I said, I can't go that far back. It's just impossible. I could just speculate. That's what happened. But given the high percentage and, this guy over here, Mr. Grease, I do believe I might have had a past relative that might have been Greek or Greekish from maybe this place right here. Another thing to point out is, given the close proximity of a lot of these islands and, countries, obviously travel was a lot different. Borders were very open back then, and just, I don't know, I guess exploration by force or just by, being curious. Philosophers and adventurers, traveled seas to discover new people. Some of them brought people back with them, or some established wherever it is they settled it and, created families there. For example, when Rome split, the western half here and the eastern half continued actually right here. Istanbul was called Constantinople from, the Roman Emperor Constantine the Great kind of set up shop there for a while. And it lasted for 1,000 years. And it's pretty impressive. But as you can imagine, coming from Italy and, this part of the country still being quite Greek and, a couple native people, there was a lot of back and forth. So, even at some point, the Byzantines owned, a great deal of, I want to say, this area here. A lot of this and a lot of this. So, including parts of North Africa too. It was just kind of part of the deal there. And, part of the greater world. The Byzantines, gained, lost, gained. It was a juggle back and forth until, 1453. So when everything fell apart. But, there was just a lot of trade and commerce between the two cities of, Constantinople and Italy. And obviously when they fell, it wasn't safe. And as the Turks, expanded through, all the Slavic countries and Greece itself all fell, where do these people go? Right here. They all kind of, set up shop and lived out the rest of their lives in, southern and central Italy. Some even in Rome. A quick story, a Byzantine princess who settled in Rome, made her way to Russia, actually. And find Russia on the map. And, through that marriage, gave birth to Ivan the Terrible. That's another thing. Anyway, my point is, there was a lot of activity going on through these countries, and a lot of mixing and just between the Crusades and everything. It was different times back then. But my point is that the world was a lot more connected and intermarrying different with different people and different races isn't nothing new. It's been happening for thousands of years, and between this little pocket right here, between the Eastern Roman Empire and what's left of the West, just a lot of commerce, a lot of trade, and a lot of different family marrying each other. All happened in this region. All here. So that's another reason why I think I'm probably connected, to these countries here. It's because they all share the same history together. And not just that, a lot of them settled in where my, bloodline and ancestry came from. So, which leads me to believe that, I definitely share some kind of partial ancestry in this region and not just Italy. So it's just my, 2 cents. I, could be completely wrong, but I truly believe, and, reading from my results, I just kind of, feel like that was the case. But, like I said, it's always good to, dive deeper and until you feel satisfied and, find out what it is you're actually looking for. But, the whole process is fun, I think, anyway. Oh, let's talk about Turkey, alright? I forgot to talk about this guy right here. Sorry, my finger's like all over the place. So yeah, Turkey, right? So if you're European, and in my audience is European, I don't know, Irish, German, like that, Italian, Greek, whatever. Okay, so you started here. Started in Turkey. Now, I know Turkey's kind of big, so just kind of, once again, bear with me here. You had all these places, right? And you had all these little tribes here. So think of them like, the first people on the continent. Kind of like how Indians were, like, in America. And then, the colonists messed it all up. Well, yeah, so that's what happened here. So you had a bunch of tribes coming in from this way. Is it that? There we go. Yeah, there we go. Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and you had tribes from there coming over here. You had tribes from Mesopotamia, which is now the Middle East, come over here, and even, see if I can pull it up. Iraq, there it is, Iran. Even had people traveling great distances across the plains to here, and then to finally here. But anyway, back to my story. So we kind of all existed right here, and Europeans anyway, and we just kind of branched out. So why did this happen? Why does it matter? Well, I'll tell you why. Because it determined, what you are now and why you look the way you look, probably. So yeah, obviously, when things got a little tough, for various reasons, obviously, because it's very early on, maybe not quite Bronze Age yet, but so yeah, people left here. Okay, things got tough, and they wanted to seek elsewhere. So some people settled this way, became Slavs, Bulgaria, Romania, Serbia. You get the idea. Look, you go further up, the cold countries, the Ukraine, Russia, all that. Or maybe your ancestors went this way. Greece, settled there, and then finally making their way over to the boot, Italy, and spreading around. Now, obviously, there's people all over here already, native to this land. So, all the people from this part of the world, the Indo-Europeans, not proto, Indo-Europeans they were called, by the way. I should have mentioned that. They got European in the name. So, yeah. They just kind of, left this place and just traveled all the way over here. And just kind of spread out. Settled wherever. Came in contact with different tribes already living here. Excuse me. And became Italians, Latins, Greeks, Slavs, Albanians. So they all either originated somewhere else, settled with another group of people, and became a mixture of both people. Now, what's it have to do with my ancestry? If I had a guess, and just like most of you, unless you're not, European, then you started somewhere else, obviously. But the majority, or maybe you're not European, maybe you're Native American or Indian. But like I said, this is my side of the story, and why I think I got such a spike in different areas, or any of you for that matter. In case you're not familiar with what's going on, that this is like I said, kind of like the basin, pretty much. Middle East, turkey, and we all just kind of branched out, landing all over the place. We all land in the same spot eventually and just kind of, go our own ways, settle with our own, tribes, and become who we are today. But it's kind of, interesting to understand and know that we all came, you know, sort of from the same area. So, I mean, that's kind of cool, right? I think if people took DNA tests and realized how, not different they are from everyone else around them, that maybe, we wouldn't have, fighting and, hatred towards our fellow man and woman. That's my point with this. It's cool finding out your heritage, even if it's not, extravagant. It's just having the little specks of different areas that you never knew about. It's pretty interesting, and that's what kind of led me into deep diving into history more. Because, I found out where I came from, but I wanted to know why and the hows and all that stuff. Maybe, you're not that, into it, but like I said, I'm doing this just to kind of like open, some people's minds that, we all are who we are because of our parents and our ancestors, and they were all born and where they were born. But like the beginning of time, it all came from somewhere else, and it developed and expanded and made us who we are today. But it's good knowing that, all of us kind of, migrated together as a pact and then went our separate ways. Alright, guys. Well, thank you for letting me, talk your ears off about this, my little, DNA extravaganza here. And, yeah, I hope you found it informative, interesting, I guess, if you're into that whole thing. And, yeah, any questions or, comments, hit me up. Let me know. Alright, guys. Thanks for listening. Until next time, peace.